She had style, she had flair, and she was there. That's how she became the nanny. There was nothing better than turning on CBS and seeing that catchy animated opening for the nanny.
She had style, she had flair, she was there. That's how she became the nanny.
Centered around Jewish fashionista Fran Fine, who became the nanny of 3 children in the New York British high society. The show took much inspiration from Fran Drescher's real life, growing up in Queens, being a Jewish woman, and of course being the star. And it worked, as the hit comedy brought in 12 Emmy nominations, mostly honoring Fran and the amazing costumes, created by Brenda Cooper, who took home the only Emmy Win in 1995. This show was all things 90s, and was anchored by quirky characters with their own long-running gags. And much of that credit goes to the actors, so that's where we come in. I'm your host, Nostalgic Nanny Nick, and today we're heading back to Flushing, Queens to see what led the cast to this hit 90s show and what they've been up to since. As always, don't forget to give us a little love by clicking that thumbs up icon, and subscribe. Click the bell for notifications so you never miss a memory. Fran Drescher. Fran Fine is hired as a nanny for Maxwell Sheffield's 3 kids, after she shows Sheffield her references, which are written in lipstick. Shocking? Not for this stylish queen.
You're a bitter little person, aren't you? Oh, we're gonna get along fine.
Drescher's own company produced the show, and she hired friends and relatives to be regulars and production staff. And it helped keep the core together. 6 years without any major casting change. Drescher began acting in 1977 with a small dancer role in a groovy flick, Saturday Night Fever. And in '78, she gained some attention in the Linda Blair-led and Wes Craven-directed TV movie, Stranger in Our House. In 1984, she was hysterical as Spinal Tap's publicist, trying to explain why the band's Smell the Glove album cover just wouldn't fly. She even reprised her publicist, Bobby Fleckman, as a lookalike for Fran Fine in season 5 of The Nanny. In '85, she guest starred in 2 episodes of Who's the Boss, which is ironic because Fran modeled The Nanny after Who's the Boss, pretty dramatically too. Drescher appeared in the Francis Ford Coppola-directed Jack in 1996. Then it was time to return to TV, creating and starring in 2011's TV Land show, Happily Divorced. While filming The Nanny, Fran revealed a very troubling story that required the production to hire professional laughers rather than willing strangers for the studio audience. Because back in 1985, she experienced a traumatic home invasion where 2 armed robbers raped her and her friend at gunpoint. Her now ex-husband, Peter Mark Jacobson, was beaten and tied up, forced to watch the horrific scene. She has said in interviews that she's managed to turn the traumatic negative experience into something positive, noting that her rapist was in prison and given 2 life sentences.
Thought, you know, if people could see where I went from that low point to where I am now, maybe it'll help and inspire other women.
Fran is a major advocate for healthcare, as she was diagnosed with uterine cancer after several misdiagnoses. She underwent an immediate radical hysterectomy and was given a clean bill of health. She documented the entire ordeal in her book, Cancer Smancer. Today, Fran is 63 years old, and her next project will be her voice work in the animated film Hotel Transylvania Transformania. Fran, you are a brave woman and a fantastic entertainer. Charles Shaughnessy. Broadway producer Maxwell Sheffield hires Fran Fine for the in-house job, and at first isn't too sure of her, but the nanny grew on him, so much so that an eventual romance blossomed.
Do you have any experience with children?
Shaughnessy began professional acting in 1983 and quickly catapulted to fame in his breakout role on Days of Our Lives, part of a super couple with Patsy Pease's character from 1984 to 1992, and he'd reprise his Shane Donovan again in the 2000s. In total, he completed more than 1,100 episodes. After The Nanny, Shaughnessy got a lot of voice gigs, like 33 episodes on the animated Disney show Stand Stanley as Dennis the Goldfish, for which he won a Daytime Emmy Award. He then reunited with Drescher in her short-lived 2005 show Living with Fran for 7 episodes. We last saw Charles co-star with Lou Ferrigno Jr. in the 2021 film Final Frequency, and today he is 66 years old and has 2 children with his wife of nearly 40 years, former actress Susan Fallender. Nicolet Tom. Margaret Sheffield, aka Maggie, is the eldest daughter who began as a shy and awkward teenager. As Fran puts it in the pilot, you don't need a personality when you're an heiress.
I'll be in my room doing my homework.
But Fran helped her blossom into a beautiful and confident young woman. Nicolet Tom began acting in 1990 and was quickly thrown a bone, playing adorable Rice Newton in 1992's Beethoven, continuing with Beethoven's Second in 93, and voicing her character for the animated series in 1994. Not a bad start. In 1998, she joined Superman the Animated Series, voicing Supergirl, and she continued this character for the Justice League animated series in 2004. In 2013, she played Maureen in 2 episodes of the Showtime show Masters of Sex. And today she is 43 years old and still acting, but also enjoys family time, like posting photos of her fam on Instagram for fans to see. Daniel Davis. Niles is the family butler. Nothing can top his loyalty to the family besides his piercing dry wit that landed every one-liner. The best quips delivered to CC Babcock.
Why don't you run make a friend and tell them all about me?
Even though the two later married in the final season. Daniel Davis stepped onto the scene in 1970, but shot to fame a decade later in the Another World soap spinoff, Texas. And the funny thing is, Shaughnessy is a native Englishman, but many British folk wrote letters telling Charles to study his accent better and to be more like Daniel Davis, who was actually born in Arkansas. Davis continued to perfect his English accent as Professor Moriarty on Star Trek: The Next Generation, and today at 75 years old, we last saw him on the AMC series Dispatches from Elsewhere in 2020. But if you miss seeing old Niles, you can purchase a personalized message from him on Cameo. Only $40 too. I'll be seeing you soon, Niles. Lauren Lane. CC Babcock is Maxwell's business partner, a wealthy socialite. She has strong feelings for Maxwell and sees Fran as her rival. She too can deliver wonderfully catty remarks to both Fran and Niles. She really was brilliant.
This from a man who parties with Pam, as in a can of.
Lauren Lane hit the limelight in 1991 as the female lead on the detective drama Hunter in its final season. Then 5 episodes of LA Law took her straight to CC Babcock. After The Nanny, she said she didn't feel comfortable in Hollywood anymore since she was 40 and a single mom at the time. So she moved back to Texas where she grew up. Today, Lane is 60 years old and still acts in regional theater and also teaches at Texas State University. Benjamin Salisbury. Brighton Sheffield is the only boy and often feels left out. As a result, he gets into squabbles with his sisters, especially Maggie.
Really lights up her room, doesn't she?
At a young age, Salisbury was already an accomplished dancer, so he'd often treat the nanny studio audiences to dance routines when the cameras weren't rolling. Some other notable roles of his include Martin Short's son in the great comedy Captain Ron, and as Josh, the announcer in D3 The Mighty Ducks. In 2006, Salisbury quit acting. He married his wife Kelly, and as of 2017, he's the Universal Studios Hollywood Director of Operations. Today he's 40 years old and has 3 children, and I hope he found a fashionista nanny for them too. Madeleine Zema. Grace Sheffield is the youngest of the bunch. A smart, tough cookie though, in therapy already when she meets Fran.
Oh, you have no idea how complicated I am.
And Fran Fine really took on a motherly role for young Grace, as she could not remember her own deceased mother. Madeleine Zema began acting in 1992 with a hulking start. Along with a great role in 1992's thriller The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, she somehow got an even more unique nanny experience, having Hulk Hogan as Mr. Nanny. She's done extremely well adjusting to acting as she's aged. In 2004, she was part of the Hilary Duff-led spiritual romance A Cinderella Story, and in 2007, she got a little risque in the David Duchovny Showtime show Californication, as her character Mia Lewis and Duchovny got a little hot and heavy, and a bit violent too. We last saw her in the 2021 Amazon movie starring Owen Wilson and Salma Hayek called Bliss. Today, Zema is 35, and her two younger sisters, Vanessa and Yvonne, are also both actresses. There you have it, a wonderful revisit with an incredibly talented cast. Their chemistry was palpable. It's no surprise that the show turned up with several foreign adaptations due to its renowned success, in addition to the reunion special. So tell us, do you remember a specific episode of The Nanny that was hysterical? Who is your favorite character from the show? I gotta go with Niles. Remember when he called himself Biles the Nutler? So stinkin' funny. Is there another series that you think we should delve into next? Well, let us know in the comments below. We want to hear from you. And don't forget to give this Nanny Rewind a thumbs up for us. And subscribe to the channel so you never miss a throwback. From all of us here at Do You Remember, thanks so much for watching.